All right, hold up, hold the press, hold on, wait a minute, hold on, time out, everybody, time out. Let's have a meeting of the minds, powwow. Let's take a breather here. Greetings and welcome to this episode on Geeks First, and on the advent or verge of all the crazy spoilers that would soon come to light in regards to our ever looking forward in the future set of Outsiders, a bombshell has dropped in our laps in the form of Dusk Till Dawn, coming straight off the presses, literally from ICV2, which, if you're not familiar, is an insider industry magazine which is provided to a lot of game stores, distributors, things like that they can reference. And I don't know if this was meant to come out before the spoiler hypey season of Outsiders, but here we are, and here it is. So I'll put a photo of it right here in post-processing so that you can see it, and I'll read it out loud to you. Flesh and Blood TCG, Dusk Till Dawn. Publisher Legend Story Studios, MSRP of $109.90, which is typical for what I would call the new price bracket or supplemental set price for Flesh and Blood. The logo looks kind of like an iteration of, I would go almost, it's like a Monarch-esque. Obviously, this is a Monarch-based set based on the thing I'm going to read here next, but in the description, Dusk Till Dawn is a 10-card booster pack, which also lends into it is a supplemental set, not a core set, but you know, I don't really know. Obviously, this is literally brand new, so this is just speculation here. But Dusk Till Dawn is a 10-card booster pack set that returns the conflict between light and shadow and sees the return to gaming table of fan favorites, Light Illusionist and Shadow Runeblade heroes, whose predecessors has obtained Living Legend status. Why it's a pick hit. Chain and Prism were two of the most played heroes in Flesh and Blood TCG. I'm going to disagree with that statement, but I'll come back to that in a second. They were both from Monarch expansions that originally featured Light and Shadow cards. This set would be a great follow-up to the original expansion. Flesh and Blood TCG seems to hold its own in the TCG market against the big three. Now that is an interesting advert, I will tell you, because there is a lot to chew on in such a short amount of words in a document. So let's kind of dive into some of the nuggets here. Now, the fact that this showed up days before, I don't know if that was intentional or not. Now, if it was intentional, that's interesting because it draws away the attention from the Outsiders pre-release hype, which is coming up, which then gets you into Magic territory, which is typically one of the things that you don't like to see in the, I guess that's something I hear not happy things about from a lot of the Magic content creators. It's perpetual hype season, right? Like, I hope LSS and Flesh and Blood do not go down that perpetual hype train because it's just not fun to have things constantly. Now, this could just be because, again, it says the release date here is July 14th. Now, this is being filmed March 2nd, 2023. So January, March, April, May, June, July. That is 4 months from now. That is 4 months between that and this set, which also means that would be the supplemental set that was hinted at on the Flesh and Blood website and those little boxes. I'll put a copy of that here. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. 10-card packs, which is typical, like I said, what you see in Dynasty, Everfest, Crucible of War. Those are your current ones. So this would technically be the second in the Flesh and Blood 2.0 world of supplemental sets if this truly goes down the path of this is the supplemental set as I'm imagining, because unless they make it a draftable 10-card variant, I don't know. That would be interesting, but it does not specify whether it is a draftable or not. That's not in this advert. This advert is really talking about bringing back the Shadow and Light, which, if you have been taking any kind of look at the news when this dropped, I mean, this is within an hour or two of this being passed my direction on social media, and I know of at least 5 to 6 cards that have been bought out. Just hands down have doubled in price. You can't get them for less than 2x what they were hours before. Is that good or bad for the long term of the game? I'm going to let somebody else make that decision. But it is interesting to me that no one was focused on Light and Shadow. No one was looking for Light and Shadow items except for those that were trying to buy off-season picks, for lack of a better word. I was focusing on off-season picks and cards that were, you know, not in the legendary category. I was looking at more Majestics and stuff, but there are people that have picked up, you know, 5, 10, 20 of these cards. There's plenty of sales data out there, and I would imagine that this is going to reinvigorate folks trying to get a hold of some of those older Light and Shadow cards. So awesome. That's going to drum up the price of those boxes for Monarch that's been sitting around that are collecting dust on most people's shelves. But the part that I want to dive into next is the second piece about the fan favorite of essentially Chain and Prism, who have Living Legend out. Now, I know that I am going to have a biased opinion in this because I am obviously a fan of Dash, but I did not really play much in the Monarch era because of the, I don't want to say toxicity because that's not the right word, but those two heroes just were not fun to play against, and I did not enjoy playing against them, so I went into Turtle Collect mode. Now, there's plenty of players out there that enjoy that playstyle, and I'd love to start hearing when this kind of hits other, you know, podcasters and things that I'm watching on different, you know, YouTube channels, what their thoughts are on how this is going to, when it comes back into the game, how Light and Shadow is going to, if they maybe keep the same look and feel, if those heroes are going to act the same, if that's going to inject into the meta and be more complicated than it should be. I don't know. But overall, I mean, this is an interesting set. It sounds interesting. I bet you the artwork's going to be beautiful. Artwork is always beautiful in Flesh and Blood. Hands down, I would buy it for the artwork. Am I going to buy it for the heroes? Am I going to buy it for the Shadow and Light? Well, if there's a Shadow or Light mechanologist, sign me up. But if I'm not playing these classes, this becomes a set that I'm not going to be interested in, most likely. Now, I'll still get it for the singles because I am certain, you know, selling those single cards to folks, but I don't really know what the slot in this is going to look like. I don't know how much the demand is going to be there for this, and I may be totally off base here. You know, if they put a Marvel Prism in here, which I think has been hinted at a couple times, that might be something that that just might make the people go crazy. If this is printed in Japanese, because the Japanese is in, you know, who knows, that might drive demand there for. This also may be the reason it's coming up so soon is that maybe that is one of the first forays into another market. So there's things we're not going to know. There's parts of this that I'm just not sure on. But the last piece here that I really want to dive into is Flesh and Blood seems to solidly hold its own in the TCG market against the big three. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a bombshell of a statement that if that was not chose by LSS, if that was chosen by the magazine to put in that blurb to be the sales pitchy piece of why that a store would want to buy that holds some weight. That means that people are noticing. That means that all the work being put in by all the different avenues and people, it means that you can't come up with the game is too small. The game is dying. No one plays this game. There's not enough players. There's too many collectors. First edition, all that crap out the door. And that was the old stuff. But now, this, I'm going to be hyped for Outsiders. I'm going to let this marinate for a while, and we're going to get through the spoiler season. So this was supposed to be my video I was going to film tonight about my last thoughts on some of the pre-Outsider spoilers and where things sat and why things were going to be there. But you know what? It's more interesting not to do that video and just absorb all the spoilers over the next couple of days. Watch the couple of box openings. It looks like Leia of Aphidia. I think it's a French podcast. I know Fluke, I think, has a box. And then there's a Twitch streamer. I don't really remember the gentleman's name, but I saw that he has. So, and I think Fab Unseals is going to have one of the Ian and that group. So I'm assuming that there's going to be 4 to 5 booster boxes opened at the end of this. Will we see the Fable? Will there still be missing cards? Will we come into the pre-release season and have gaps in the card number section where we just don't know what's there, so they'll have that excitement? I hope so. I really don't want the whole set spoiled. I think that is part of the excitement and joy is going into these pre-releases and having some mystery. So we're just going to see. It's going to be exciting. Thank you for tuning in. I didn't expect to make this video. It's very different, and all my lights aren't set up, so you probably have this kind of Dick Tracy vibe where I'm just like, so today, everyone bought out all the cards. Why? But until next time, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell, sign up for notifications, and watch all those cool content creators drop all those cool spoilers, because I will. And I'll be documenting and coming back and doing a little review of all the spoilers to talk about, because Outsiders is such an exciting set. I would say even more exciting than the next one that we now already know the name to. So, there you go. Have a good one. Your captain.